this all day. Sorry, I just get right in the middle of it. I love it. Thank you so much. There's power in testimony, my friends. There's power in this. Welcome to the church of this generation. There's power in testimony. And I believe that this is what the body should look like as we identify with each other in our struggles and we identify with each other in our victories. Amen?
Amen.
And so I'm so thankful and I'm inspired by what you just said. So thank you so much. We know we have journey, we have days ahead, but we cling to the hope that we have right now in this moment as we hear others' victories. And so much of what you said, as you have learned from finding hope, we also find inside the homes of Hope is Alive.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing that we actually recover in very much a similar fashion, the addict and the co-addict, or the addict and the family of the addict. And most of the time that is found through the like-minded, gospel-centered community.
Mm-hmm.
You read about that in Acts. That's what's happening within Finding Hope and within our homes. And so just real quickly, I know Jay's ready to go and I'm ready to hear it. I know I brought you up and I had you just stand there, right? That's awkward. We have 4 homes in Tulsa, the Tulsa area. 2 homes for men, 2 homes for women. And we would love for you to come and be a part of those homes. And here's what I can tell everybody is when you come into a Hope is Alive home, you will leave changed.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you experience the gospel in action.
Right.
What was dead has become alive again. Please help me welcome my friend Jay. Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Jay. My prayer today is that as I share my testimony, that you not hear the words of an addict, but rather the words of a man who tried to fix some difficult circumstances in his life with something other than God. That my trials are not unique to myself. Maybe some of you guys have been through or know someone who's been through some similar situations. But, I'm sorry. The Bible says we all experience times of testing, which is normal for every human being. But God will be faithful to you. He will screen and filter the severity, nature, and timing of every test or trial you face so that you can bear it. And each test is an opportunity to trust Him more. For along with every trial, God has provided for you a way of escape that will bring you out of it victoriously. That's 1 Corinthians 10:13. This story is a warning to some who can relate and a testimony of hope that God is able. Personally, I was born to addict parents, and I was placed into foster care when I was about 1.5 years. Spoiler alert, my foster family, the only family that I was with, actually became my family. I was sexually abused by a babysitter while my parents were at Bible college, and we lived on campus. And she told me that if I told anybody, that they would come and they would take me away and I'd never have a family. The devil took my voice in those moments, and I learned at a very young age to internalize everything. Written words became my escape, and spoken words became the things that cursed me. Fear of abandonment exasperated my fear. Fear of abandonment exasperated my fear of speaking out, and in turn caused me to internalize all my emotions even more. I craved love and suffered in silence. I was a biracial foster kid in a white family in a small town, and everyone knew me and my family. Sometimes people can act as demons. By most accounts, I had a great childhood, raised in a Christian family. My father was a pastor, great student and athlete, excelled at most things that I put my focus to. But every hurt and pain I was internalizing. When I found alcohol and then drugs, I found freedom. It took me a long time to realize it was actually my prison, and even longer to know that it would be my grave. Since I did excel at many things, when I found that I could party hard and still excel at these things and perform at a high level, it became the perfect setup for disaster. A scholarship for throwing javelin to a D1 school, I left because of partying. Marine Corps, I graduated best in my class. I got booted for drinking. For a window in time, I abused ecstasy, cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, alcohol. I've been homeless. I've been in jail for almost a year. But when I desired life, I could always find a good job and, be an active member of society. In 2005, I went to a Christian regeneration ministry, and God did an awesome work in my life. Throughout that whole thing, I was there for a year, but I failed to uproot everything from my past. My family got restored. I moved to Mississippi, and pretty much the first 24 hours, I met the person who would become my wife. I became a youth pastor, and then my wife and I became co-youth pastors. Though I hated speaking, I hated standing up in front of people. I hated exposing myself. So she'd always have to be close to me and really give me support. We had my son, and we obeyed God. We sold our first home, our dream home, and we moved here to Tulsa. I had 7 years of good sobriety when we moved here, and then I had my first surgery, and all of hell came back with a vengeance. I lied to myself and I said opiates were never my issue, I'll be fine. I was wrong. Within 2 days, I was already abusing my pills. About 2 months after my first surgery, I had another surgery. And on the same shoulder, and never having broken, that the pill use, I just plunged even deeper into my addiction. Other issues in my life were also contributing to the numbing process, and the litany of unresolved past issues made a clear path for disaster. It made a clear path for me to being uncovered, and I was. Over the next 5 years, I would have 4 more surgeries, lies, broken promises, tears, isolation, and everything that goes with addiction. I pushed the ones I love most to the brink, and then every summer I take a man trip with my son, and this year was going to be awesome. We were going camping, we were going to Adventures in Odyssey and focus on the family. We were going to go to a Hillsong United concert, and we were going to cook a bunch of meat over fire and just be men. There was a big problem though. I knew that I shouldn't go. I knew that God was telling me that everything in my life was about to change, that everything was about to come to a soul-crushing halt. But I went anyway. On June 20th, 2019, I got a DUI in Colorado with my son in the car. It wasn't the lowest I've ever been in my addiction, but the lowest I've ever come to spiritually. I've never been in such darkness as I was watching my son watching me be arrested. It just broke me, and it brought me to a place of complete surrender. My wife felt as though God was saying that I should stay in jail, that they should leave me there. So I sat in jail for 46 days on a 10-day sentence when I could have been bailed out on the first day. All I knew while I was there was in all likelihood I was going to come home and be a single man. I cried out to God, and He met me there in jail. I fasted and I prayed and I read. He proved to me that He was in it all the time. The whole way, my entire life, He was in this whole thing. And that He was never going to abandon me, and He never did. My prison became my training ground. He healed my heart when I let Him in completely, and He amputated 39 and a half years of festering rot that was in my heart. He loosed the binds on my mouth and gave me boldness and allowed me to bring Him glory out of my trash. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for God's hand upon my life, my entire life. He got me out of jail 3 weeks early and granted me favor with the judge, who allowed me to literally schedule my release date. No lie. He got me a ride home from Colorado in an awesome only God could type fashion. The first day home, I got my job back on a Wednesday, started on a Friday with everything still in place as though I'd never left. That first Wednesday I got back, I also got into Hope is Alive. He's restoring my marriage slowly but surely. My wife said that she needed to see a Moses-like transformation, and I believe that God's delivering. He's transforming me in the open for all to see. I don't isolate anymore. I have friends and accountability, and I'm an open book. I lay everything bare. I lay myself naked in front of everybody. Not literally, but I do. I have audacious God-sized prayers, and He's answering them in plain view. Today, I don't hate the man looking back at me in the mirror. And for the first time in my life, I can actually say that I love myself. God is unfolding His word for me in an extraordinary way and giving me deeper understanding into His word. There are so many more steps that I must take in this journey, but I know that God is doing something awesome, and that the present glory of this temple, is where the temple of God, is going to be far greater than the former. God opened my heart to this revelation and gave me some insight into the battle gave me insight into the story of Joshua and the battle at Jericho. And I believe that it pertains not just to the addict, but to every type of sin, or hurt, or anger, or unforgiveness, or pride, or lust that we all deal with. God gave the Israelites a victory at Jericho, and it was truly an awesome show of His love and power. But there were still battles to come. This was simply a proving ground of sorts. They had only just begun. God had given instruction through Joshua prior to the victory that the city and everything in it were to be devoted to God. They were to leave every part of it behind, save Rahab and her family. If not, what the New King James Version calls the accursed things would bring trouble, would cause trouble, and a curse on the camp of Israel. Well, of course, there was that guy who decided he needed to take a little souvenir, just a little trinket, to take along the way. And he took it to his tent, and he buried it deep in the ground in his tent. Don't we all do that kind of? We have this thing from our past which we're trying to get rid of, but we have to take this thing and bury it deep in our heart, where it's safe.
It's good.
Well, trouble befalls on Israel, and Joshua is seen just wallowing in the dust, crying his eyes out. And God tells him, get up, handle your business, go expose that hidden thing, and get it up out of this camp. So our lives are like this story. God gives us a victory in our lives, but He wants us to go on to greater victories and truly take possession of our land. That first victory is crucial. Will we obey and leave the accursed things behind, or save a souvenir from our past? Something that embeds itself like a root, which in time will spring up to cause trouble and defile many, taking over our lives once again. Leave it all behind. God has greater things in store, more battles to engage, more victories for us to have.
Right.
It's good.
If you're still holding on to a souvenir, it's time to dig it out, expose it, and get it out of your camp. Today I have hope for me, my wife, and my children. Today I have purpose, and God has given a future for me, which will draw from the experience that He's allowed me to go through, affecting the lives of others and delivering hope. Today I walk with God. He goes before me and He's behind me. He's my strength and He's my shield. I abide in Jesus Christ, His Son, and I'm a witness to grace. Today, I never have to crawl back into my box, because that box has become a coffin in which a dead man is buried. Thank you.
I'll tell you, you got some preacher in you, son. That's good. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for exposing that for us. Because of your faith and your vulnerability, many of us now have courage to do the same thing. Amen?
Right. Yeah.
Bow with me as we close today.